Mm.
Perfect.
There we go. So, welcome to another edition of Interview with Irene. Today, I have the beautiful and talented Terissa Kelton, who is an actress and producer in Hollywood now. And she will talk a little bit about her work. So, Teresa, could we start by going into how you got into acting?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, thank you for having me on, Irene.
Of course.
This is so cool.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. So yeah, my desire to be an actress, I think, hit when I was in high school. I had an interesting background. I was homeschooled for a long time, and I wasn't around a whole lot of other kids. And so when I went to public high school, I really got interested in all the other people and what their lives were like and what their perspectives were like. And I took lots of different classes. I joined lots of different clubs, and I joined drama club, and I took an acting class. And it was basically a way for like a safe way, and a an interesting way to put yourself into other characters, people who don't have the same backgrounds as you and the same interests as you.
Right.
And because you're portraying them in a real way, you know, you have to think about what really motivates them, what really drives them. And you know, even if you're acting, you know, if you're doing a role for, you know, a quintessential bad guy, you have to know how that person is motivated and what drives them to do the things they do. They can't just be a bad guy, or else it's going to be you know, a terrible a performance if you're just like twirling your mustache the whole time. So
Very true.
that is what initially got me into acting, was just the ability to sort of step into another person's shoes. And so I took that from high school to college, and in college I majored in acting, and I also majored in journalism, which I felt was sort of like the flip side of being able to talk about different people's backgrounds and perspectives. You were just sort of giving them a voice, versus stepping into someone's shoes and portraying them, you know, on stage or on film. Um, and through college, I was fueled, you know, in my different acting classes, different productions that I was in. And then I went to Austin, Texas. Right before I graduated, I got involved with an independent film company, and you know, I was struggling in college to get stage roles. So what took me to Austin was this desire to act, and I thought maybe film is a better format, better platform. And I found that it was. I went to Austin and I started working with Twitchy Dolphin, which is the independent film company. And you've been following me for so long, like you remember all of this, you know, like you've been here through it all. So that's where I got started with film, and subsequently that's what got me interested in producing. Just sort of a segue into that and acting. With Twitchy Dolphin, I acted in 2 feature films and became really good friends with everyone in that community. And obviously was very interested in anything and everything that had to do with filmmaking, because I would show up even if I didn't have a role, even if I didn't have anything, you know, to do on screen that day. You know, do y'all need help setting up? Do you need someone to hold the boom mic? What do you need? Like, I'll do it. Um, and I just fell in love with the process. And every movie was like having sort of a new, different family that you could keep up with, you know. And so I have made a lot of amazing connections, a lot of amazing friends. But ultimately, they recognized that I really wanted to do more than just act, and so they actually allowed me to come in during the development process, during the script writing process. So I was able to oversee, you know, from the first draft of the script all the way into production, um, you know, and then distribution and going out to film festivals and promoting the films.
Right.
Um, and again, it was I think what drove me and what was really attractive to me about producing as well as acting was
Mhm.
just the ability to find ways to tell stories that resonated with lots of different people. And there's lots of ways to do that, and I just think it's film and um, television and even short form content like we're seeing with YouTube, Instagram videos. Like it's such a great way um, to spread a message, to communicate an experience and a perspective from different people. And
Um,
that's what drives me is just telling human stories, and reminding people that we are all human, no matter what we look like, what we do, what we're trying to do.
exactly, yes.
Yeah.
So, and you touched on this a little bit. So you came in even when you didn't have a role and said, please tell me how I can help. Is that also how you got into producing?
Yeah, like going in on days where I knew that the company might need help setting up, might need someone, just even like a PA. I really got started as a PA essentially. Um, and because I worked with such a cool group of people and such a good company, they recognized that I desired more than just being an actor or being a PA. It's very unlikely that you'll find someone who just wants to be a PA forever. There's usually an aspiration there, right? So they
Right.
saw this aspiration, um, and allowed me to come in and really be on the ground floor with them when they were creating, developing scripts and writing, and I would give script notes, and I would help cast, and I would even talk like to the cinematographer about what he was doing, even though I will say that I was a director of photography for one short film, and I realized that was not my role in a movie. It was not my role. But I have lots of respect for cinematographers and director of photography, photographers, just because it's a freaking pivotal part of the whole process. But
Yes.
because I was excited, because I was ready to just any day that they were shooting, even if I was acting, like the first two films I did, I had like glorified extra roles, um, which were amazing and I loved them. But I showed up every other day that they told me where they were. Like I would just show up.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, "Hey, I'm here. Like I know I'm not acting today, but like, can I do something?" Um,
Okay.
and being able to grow in that way and being able to explore lots of different areas. I directed short films as well, and I really enjoyed that. And I think someday I would like to go back into a directing role. Um, I think that fueled me even more to want to expand on my skill set as a producer. It's eventually what took me out of Austin, as I was like, I really want to see what else is out there, and I'm specifically want to learn about distribution is such a huge thing for independent filmmakers, and
Exactly.
it's really hard to try to figure out the um, distribution of film, of television, and if you're independent, where do you go? Who do you talk to? There's lots of people out there trying to take advantage of independent producers,
Right.
and so I really wanted to have a better understanding of what distribution in all
Yes.
different kinds of areas. So that's what eventually took me to Austin. Is I said, okay, I feel like I've gotten a lot of great experience here, but I want to figure out this next step so that I can then
Right.
use that to like, bring it back and say, okay, like I figured out some things, or here's what's going on. Don't trust this person. Don't trust that person. These people are great. Or this way, this method of distribution is up and coming. We should try this. We should do this. Um, and so that has sort of what propelled me into Los Angeles. And now I'm working on a plethora of projects that are really amazing. I'm mostly in a producing role on all of them right now. One of my projects is called Pride the Series, which is an LGBT drama. It's
Right.
Amazon Prime, and I do act in that one as the character of Riley. And
Right.
we shot that a few years ago. And then I have personal projects that I work on as well,
Right.
that I also act in. And but for the most part, right now, my focus has been producing. So now I'm producing an animated TV series, a
Mhm.
mixed media puppet series,
Okay.
a live action reimagining of a couple of some great cult 80s films. And so I'm just doing a lot of different things, and I'm learning about a lot of different areas of the industry that I like didn't know that I'd even ever learn about.
Yeah.
And so I'm really loving that. I'm really loving sort of taking putting on my producer's hat
Mhm.
and wearing that for a little while, and then being able to act in things that I'm either producing, hands on, or doing my side projects where I'm, doing my own thing. So I,
Wonderful.
yeah.
I watched a few episodes of Pride. I love it. And you are great and into and I I also really like with the puppets. Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, thank you.
mhm.
Thank you for like I
Yeah.
said, you've been there through it all, Irene. I feel like you've seen all my stuff. So
I try. Yeah, I know like that we have some mutual friends who
of course,
share this stuff. So
absolutely.
I
It's
think
it's a small community, I think.
yes,
Um,
yes.
so
Any other hobbies?
um let's see. I mean, I do the sort of like stereotypical, like I go on hikes, I have a wonderful significant other, and we have a dog, and we take the dog out on hikes, and that's a lot of fun. I'm getting very into going to different VR experiences. So, if I'm going to go to an event, in the last couple of weeks, last month or so, I've been looking at really like cool like pop-up events or VR events, to go to. I'm kind of I like to go to panels. I like to go talk. I like to see people talk about, things that are happening in the industry, whether it's, content creation in the kids industry, or even in just distribution, digital distribution. I just like to go see panels about people working in entertainment in general, because there's so much that's happening, that's sort of all converging right now. So you get a lot of, and then there's just so much happening here all the time in LA, and I mean there's so much also, there's tons of panels and interviews of people like on YouTube and stuff. Like there's never any shortage of great people talking about amazing stuff going on in the industry. So a lot of my hobbies have to do with sort of my work. It's I recently I went to Disneyland last year and realized I
Mhm.
loved Disneyland.
Uh,
And I had never gone as a kid, and so now I'm like kind of obsessed with theme parks, and
mhm.
so that's
Right.
that's something I like to go do, is go check out Disneyland and hang out. And yeah, I mean that's
Mhm.
I'm always thinking of like what are my hobbies, but I,
Mhm.
I I know I do something with my life. But a lot of it is just channeled back into what I love doing, which is producing and creating content and knowing more about the players out there who are creating content.
That's awesome. And what would be your ideal role?
Oh man, ideal role. I would like to. That's a good question, Irene. What is my ideal role? I think I would like to be able to produce something that I also act in, um, which I have, which I have done before. But that would be sort of that's I really love doing that. That was sort of my goal when I decided to like merge acting and producing, was to take, just be able to have more control over the content that I was acting in, because to me, it's important that I have a voice, in the overall of the project, and make sure that it's done correctly, and it's just good to be part of that producing family when you're working on something as an actor. So, and then I think also, though, like I said earlier, at some point I would love to direct again. I don't think I would want to act in what I directed. I don't know that I would want to produce. I would maybe want to produce. I always want to produce, Irene, is what I'm finding out. I maybe would always want to produce something and then maybe do either an acting role or directing role. But I like being involved in more than one facet of it,
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Any advice for future actors or producers and
Yeah.
directors?
I would say perseverance, patience, and really being kind to yourself, and being is kind of, I don't mean to use like a buzzword right now, but being like authentic to yourself. But in other words, understanding like what you really like, what you really want to do.
Right.
And then going out there and not being afraid of trying to find the people who are going to help you, build whatever you're trying to build for yourself. And that means running into people maybe that aren't the greatest. That means putting yourself out there. That means, maybe going through some pain and suffering. But if you persevere and you are patient and you're kind to yourself and you are really determined, and you have, I'm sort of recently gotten really into doing like vision boards or like journal entries where you write like what your dreams are, your hopes and dreams, like say it out loud. It's okay to say it out loud, even if it's like crazy. I've said a lot of different things that maybe will never happen, but some of the things that I've said out loud have happened. So just say it and be open to it and be true to it. And don't, just know that it's not going to be easy, but that, you can control how you deal with what you're given. And as long as you can figure out a way to make sure you're not, giving anything up that's authentic to you, that you're not trading anything in for somebody else's vision and not your own.
Right, I agree there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for doing it in your office. I love your drawing behind you.
I see one of my friend's sons did that.
That is so cute. I love it. I'm so into it.
Thank you. I have a bunch of things up here too.
Oh, look at that. So much love on that wall, Irene. I love it.
Right. Something to help me get through the day. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right.
You're amazing, Irene. Thank you so much.
And hopefully, maybe we'll have you again.
Yes, anytime. I'm always around.
Wonderful.
6 months to a year. Hopefully, I'll have some really like cool news coming out, and
definitely then.
do an update. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, and thank you all for joining me for another edition of Interview with Irene.
Thanks, Irene. Bye.
And